Good afternoon, happy hump day, happy Wednesday, everyone. Namaste. It's Kelly Dalbach, executive business coach, entrepreneur, passionpreneur, registered dietitian. I hope you are all doing well this week. And today we are scheduled to chat a little bit about planning and budgeting to start a business. And I know that it's a topic that is so incredibly important, and it keeps many of us, myself included, in fear because you don't even want to know the numbers. You're like that little monkey emoji that's like, oh, I don't want to know, I don't want to know. But you also know that not knowing is keeping you trapped in not creating your own business. So I wanted to just jump on here today and share with you a few things that I learned and a few tips to just getting some thoughts down on paper. And if there's anything in particular that you would like to learn or know throughout our session, let me know, because every business is different, and I'm going to go over categories that are really not specific to any category of business, but I'm happy to share more in a separate discussion, more specific cost about actually coaching and consulting type businesses and what that looks like for me. Because we'll focus today mostly on product categories and service categories, things to think about, just to kind of give you a roadmap on how to plan to start a business. So we will get started. So guys, I've been right where you are, as I mentioned. It was like I kept my eyes closed for so long. I had found my passion and daydreamed about making my business a reality. I watched these coaches out there living my dream life, right? And I was like, okay, what is so special about this person? And most recently, it was about my business coach. I'm like, okay, she was in corporate America, she was in communications, and she had the same skill set or different skill set, but same. She was just like me, right? And I just dreamed. I was like, how did she get there? How did she get there? And I even went so far as to talking to people. And that is really, truly what finally got me to the point of, okay, this is something that is a reality I can create. But I am the first to admit, guys, the thought of leaving the stability of a predictable, steady, safe income, it truly threatened my peace of mind. So if you're feeling that fear and that, oh my gosh, it is not possible, or it doesn't seem like I can get back to that security, you can. And you just have to, again, believe that there is a pathway and find someone that has walked the pathway. I can't iterate that enough, but we'll talk about that. But I couldn't ignore my gut feeling anymore. I was being called, that feeling in your gut, your intuition. I was being called to lead others in creating their own freedom and independence from corporate 9 to 5. And this was, yes, during the pandemic, but there was something inside of me that just felt, I could feel the Great Resignation before it was called the Great Resignation. I know it's like, duh, but I could feel that people were going to need people that had come before and done and paved the way to the business. So I just reached out to all the entrepreneurs that I knew, and I just soaked up information. I was like, what did you learn? How did you fail and get back up? What are my risks? What are the things that I need to avoid? And you know what I learned about this phenomenal group of entrepreneurs that I've built in my network in the last 10 months? That they are fun, supportive, kind, and did I say supportive? Entrepreneurs want to help other people, guys. So networking with entrepreneurs is totally different than networking in corporate professional world. I know because I have done both, and it's like you get those in messages or those emails from people, salespeople in corporate America, right? And they're like, oh no, delete, or oh no, they're just trying to sell to me. I will tell you that entrepreneurs genuinely are, for the most part, absolutely supportive and kind, and they want to help other entrepreneurs out. So the networking opportunity to help elevate your business right from the get-go is phenomenal. So I'm going to share with you some planning tips and budgeting for your startup cost in your business, because I believe in your undiscovered entrepreneur. So first things first there is no set cost structure, right? Some of these are going to be applicable to your business, some are not going to be applicable to your business, but the most important thing that you actually need to start with is kind of sketching out a business plan. And I'll have another training in the coming weeks on what a business plan is and kind of the big categories of a business plan, because you want to know how your business is going to sell, how it's going to operate, and the tax structure of your business. And until you kind of determine those things, it's actually difficult to plan the cost for startup. So we're kind of working backwards here, but nonetheless, I know that many people were eager to learn the cost structures and just kind of what I have been through. So first we're going to start with one-time cost. Incorporation fee, right? You got to get your LLC. So one of the tasks that you need to complete when you form a business is choosing a business structure. And the options in your business structure include sole proprietorship, partnership, corporation, or limited liability corporation. And it's really best to consult with an accountant to discuss your incorporation models, because you can share with them if you have a full-time job and like what type of income you are expecting from your side hustle as you're building your business. So absolutely talk with an accountant. Like if you look in your network on LinkedIn, or ask people in here. I'm sure we have a couple of our accountant or two in here. Just start, chatting with them socially and just say, what are some things I need to think about? And then you'll want to look into actually scheduling an appointment to consult with an accountant before you file your LLC. Okay, my first learn from Kelly. I set up my LLC using LegalZoom before I hired an accountant. So I did it backwards, learned from me, and then I had to change the structure of my business based on where I was and the income that I was generating in the stage of my business. So I would absolutely learn from me and hire that accountant consult before you set up your LLC. You can still use LegalZoom or any of the other applications to actually do the filing and the paperwork, but have that conversation with the accountant. On the same note, financial advisor. You want to have a chat with your financial advisor if you're going to start a new business. There's likely going to be some planning that is going to take place. So if you were used to saving X number of dollars, or if you need to liquidate any assets or any cash to invest in your business, or maybe you're getting outsourced funding, it's absolutely important to talk with your financial advisor. And if you don't have a financial advisor, I highly recommend everyone have one just to plan. And now's a great time to start. Licensing and permitting. These requirements will vary by industry, and furthermore, they'll actually vary by state. So that's when one thing, like, people are like, okay, well, tell me everything I need to know for my business. Guys, I run a coaching and consulting business out of the state of Florida. I'm also a registered dietitian in the state of Florida and by the Registered Dietitian Governing Board. So I do not have experience in what a restaurant would look like in Ohio. And I'm probably not, I know I'm not the best person to give you the licensing and permitting tips. But the good news is that there are experts that can not only help you through networking and just talking to other business owners in your category of business, but it's also great to hire a lawyer. Lawyers are typically well aligned and well tuned to permitting certain inspections that you may need, certain certifications, and always remember too, when you do get those license and permitting set up, to put it in your calendar to reissue them or re-up them every year, every 6 months, or whatever they may take, because you don't want to risk any lapse in licensing and permitting in your business. Equipment costs, right? All businesses require some equipment. If you are an online business owner, like I was, okay, I have no laptop. I mean, all of my laptop is owned by my corporation and my current employer. So something as simple as the laptop and planning for that. It may be one-time capital cost, or you could decide to lease equipment. Maybe you're starting a catering business. What does the vehicle cost looks like? What are the marketing, or not the marketing costs, like if you want to brand the vehicles, what does that look like? So just make sure that you make a big list of the equipment cost that you may have in starting your own business. And guys, there's so much information out there. So say you want to start a food truck or an ice cream shop. There's so much information out there, and also again, find people that have been there and done that, and I would be very surprised and can almost guarantee that you could find someone that would be willing to give you a few tips on where to start, of people that have opened a similar business to you. The next thing in one-time cost is market research. I actually did the market research for my own coaching consulting business on my own, and part of my program of the corporate executive to business owner playbook does include market research for consulting and coaching. But if you want to outsource that and you're doing something such as a restaurant or perhaps a tutoring service, you may want to outsource that as a one-time startup fee, because market research is so critically important, especially when it comes to retail locations, because locations of retail businesses have so much importance on where you're located, right? And where schools are maybe, or where other entertainment areas are if you're opening something in the entertainment industry. So market research is incredibly important and can be outsourced as a one-time fee to marketing agencies or marketing entrepreneurs. The next thing that's a one-time fee is website development. Built from your own diligent market research or outsourcing the market research, you will bring credibility to your brand, products, and services and display this on your website. Right? You can't really do business anymore in 2022. It's probably been a few years since people were confident or comfortable doing business without anyone with at least a landing page. And you may be able to start there. You may be able to start with a landing page to design your own starter website through services like WordPress, WordPress. Sorry guys, WordPress. WordPress. That's actually the template that my website is on. However, I did hire an agency that had further templates so that it was more plug and play and scripting for me, as well as photographs, as well as links. So if there is anything that you want to plan for, I can get more detailed about websites and the range of the cost for the websites, but there is a really easy DIY option if you just want to do one page so you're out there on the World Wide Web. Or other options that you may actually include branding, logo design, and even copywriting. If you guys are like, oh my gosh, I couldn't imagine writing my own content for my website, there are copywriters that can help you. If you can at least come up with your services, your products, your bio, they can help you fancy the words up so that it reads well to a potential customer or client. Okay, so moving on to ongoing cost. The first ongoing cost I want you to think about is marketing. So advertising, promotions, PR strategy, industry conferences are all ways to generate leads in your business. Sales and marketing costs should be padded to test different options early in the first 3 to 6 months of launching your business. I even tested multiple different social platforms. I do different tests on which posts, and I keep track of which posts create more engagement and which posts are really in my ideal client's pain point, right? So I'm constantly looking at what's working, and you need to do that for any business. Maybe there's different channels you want to try. There should be both an online and offline strategy for growing your business. At least that's what I preach and teach and do myself, is both some face-to-face as well as virtual. You can do all things virtual. It is a cheaper route initially, but it becomes a bit more strenuous on the social channels, and you have to make sure that you have different plugins to have email addresses, social media presence, and consistent content to continue to grow your virtual business. So the next thing in ongoing cost is software and technology. This is where I got surprised a little bit, guys, honestly. So I was like, okay, have my website cost, and I have my laptop, and I have all of my social networking access, but I didn't consider the customer journey, right? So if you guys go to my website, there is a landing page for a scheduling link for my calendar. There is a landing page for my discovery call application, which is another software. In order to take payment, there is software. So there are different types of software that basically, there's an email software for anyone's email address that you take in through your website or lead generation. So Zoom, if you're not doing lives on a free streaming service, there's a Zoom fee. So again, it's not overly critical. My software and technology costs are not astronomical, but was something that I didn't plan for. Insurance. Insurance, it's important to consider insurance to protect your personal assets from any business-related liabilities, in addition to protecting your customers. And if you're exiting a corporate job and carrying healthcare insurance through your employer, you will need to find another option. So I did know that I would have the opportunity to purchase COBRA for up to 18 months through my prior employer. However, I was not prepared for the premium. It is extremely high and higher than what I obviously paid, because my employer did contribute, but I even took it, I think what I paid times 50% or times 100% to expect double. And the premium was higher than that. So just make sure that you know or you're aware of what to budget for health insurance. And if you can purchase through the employer of a spouse, or perhaps get on a family member's plan, that is the next best option. But otherwise, COBRA is an option. And because you have it for at least, a few months post employment, then you should have the opportunity to compare other plans. There may be a better plan on just the marketplace. So the next expense for ongoing expenses would be payroll, right? Human resources include wages, salaries, bonuses, and benefits. Planning for competitive wages, putting it at 10% above competitive wage is probably important, just so that you have some stability and decrease the risk of turnover in the first few months of starting your business. But just if you do need employees, just make sure that you consider those benefits, paid time off, insurance, etc. And 25% on top of salary is typically a good placeholder for full-time employees and benefits packages. You can also hire 1099s. 1099s obviously don't have the added cost of benefits, and they don't need the 40 hours per week. So you don't have that fixed cost, and you can be a bit more variable based on where your business is and your business needs. Next is utilities. So your place of business will have a physical location, whether you are considering retail location or a home office. And utilities common costs are water, electricity, phone, internet services, streaming services. So those are, you can't write off your whole home's utility business if you are officing from your home, but there is a portion that you can write off, and you'll want to talk to your tax accountant about that specifically. Inventory. Business in retail, restaurant, or consumer goods may need to purchase initial inventory and start and flex this budget as the business expands. If many of you are aware, I do carry inventory for my health and wealth line. And I do that primarily obviously for myself, for my supplements, but I do it for samples as well. And I'm still learning that and flexing that, but that is something that you want to consider if you are doing anything that requires essentially selling goods or services. And then the last thing that I want to talk about in potential ongoing cost is professional services. So if you are like most business owners, you have identified your passion and your superpower, and you're beginning to contemplate how can you bring this to market. But Your skill set doesn't include professional services such as a business coach or consultant, a lawyer, an accountant, a digital marketing expert. So when you look at a corporate hierarchy, think about where you are and where your skill sets are. So look at your resume and do some self-reflection on things that you really, really want to focus on. And let's be honest, as a new entrepreneur and business owner, you do a little bit of all of it. But as your business begins to gain traction and momentum and clients, then you're going to want to look at services that you can outsource. For me specifically, virtual assistants and marketing support to make sure that I don't fall behind on any of my messages, because messaging as well as client engagement is the most important thing, right? We all know that if businesses can go like this, if the person that is doing all of the sales and marketing also has to run back behind the kitchen and cook the food. So just be cognizant of, think about corporate structure and the different departments. You have legal, you have finance, you have CEO, you have marketing, sales, and operations, right? So think about all of those different components of your business and where you are most skilled and where you are least skilled. So kind of a SWOT analysis of you as a business owner. All right, so that was my list of startup one-time cost and ongoing cost to consider. So if you want to talk one-on-one, I do have a way to calculate your startup costs, and I'm happy to provide a bit more detail, especially for anyone interested in my particular area of focus, which is my particular area of experience in startup cost is in the coaching and consulting. Happy to provide a list of the expenses and a bit more tangible on my startup costs, the softwares I use, etc. So you want to create a list of the expense categories and subcategories, including both the one-time as well as the ongoing. And then you want to start researching suppliers for each cost category. If you can put out an RFI, which is basically a request for information, or an RFP, request for proposal, maybe it's just you call 3 accountants that are in your area and say, what do you charge for annual tax filing fees and consultation hours? Maybe you put it out to 3 and then do your interviews. As a small business owner, guys, you just want to make sure that you're aligned with good partners and good partnerships. Time is money and money is time. And I can't iterate that enough because everyone that is focused on the DIY and not investing in themselves and their business are likely going to be, as I put on my post today, the 80% of business owners that aren't able to leave their full-time job and aren't able to actually scale their business to create a full-time income. And the 20% that do and learn and practice and replicate and plan are those that are able to exit their full-time job and start the business that is aligned with their superpowers and their passion. So just a note as well, in you're creating your list of startup expenses, I would plan for anywhere between 6 to 12 months for income generation. And I would also ramp that income generation based on if you are taking clients now. So if it's a side hustle, then obviously you can ramp up quicker. And if you are visible, have a website, and you're looking to redesign, versus if you're completely new and looking to start from scratch. And that's where a bridge job can come into place too, because you're not going from $0 for this ramp up period. You may want to do some work in your area of expertise, and maybe it's consulting, maybe it's working part-time, or maybe you have the savings and you said, like me, I actually planned to go cold turkey and start my business and spend 100% focus in my business. And that's honestly why a lot of people say, you look like you've been doing this for a year, but I've been doing it for about 6 months, and I have truly been a student of my business coach and the program that was offered, aligned with my business intentions and practiced, and here I am. teaching others. So if you guys have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear. If you have any more detail at all on anything we talked about today, I'm happy to provide it. I'm wishing you a very successful week. Stay warm. Namaste.